So in today's session, we will continue uh, the previous uh, content, CMOS electrical behavior. So as the class was not continued in our last class, day before yesterday's class. So once again, I will start from the beginning. So we have been discussing the CMOS electrical behavior, and we have seen the steady state electrical behavior. We discussed the static characteristics, steady state characteristics of the CMOS device. So here, what is the difference between this steady state and dynamic electrical behavior? So this question was asked to you in the last class also. So the difference between the steady state electrical behavior and dynamic electrical behavior. In steady state electrical behavior and in dynamic electrical behavior, in these two, the CMOS circuit behavior is described with respect to the input and output. With respect to the input and output here. With respect to the input and output. In steady state behavior, the input and outputs are not changing. So which means the input and outputs are fixed to a state here. So they will have the fixed state of logic levels at their input and output. Under such conditions, the CMOS circuit behavior is described in steady state behavior. So say if the CMOS logic inverter has logic 0 at input, and now the CMOS inverter will produce or it will give logic 1 at the output. At any time, if you observe, the logic value at the input is 0, say, as we are saying that it is a fixed one. So the input is at logic 0, to corresponding that logic 0 input, the CMOS circuit is giving the logic 1 at the output. So now the input and the output, they are fixed to a state here. So which means the inputs and outputs are not changing. The input is at logic 0, it is fixed to the low state, and at the output is fixed to the logic 1. The output is fixed to the logic 1. Output is fixed to the logic 1. So in steady state behavior, the inputs and outputs are not changing. The inputs and outputs are not changing here. Input and outputs are not changing here. Whereas in dynamic electrical behavior, the input and outputs are changing. So here the input and outputs change continuously. The input and outputs are changed continuously, where the output changes the states. The output changes the output will be changed between the states here. So in the steady state and in dynamic behavior, in steady state, the output and the input and outputs are fixed, whereas in the dynamic, the input and outputs are changing, where the output changes between the states here. When the output is continuously changing between the states, how the CMOS device will behave in the electrical network, so that will be described under the dynamic electrical behavior here. So simply the static, I mean the steady state, dynamic. So in dynamic, you will have a series of pulses as a input. According to the series of pulses of input, there will be a change in the output. So which means the output will be changes between the states here. states are logic 0 state and logic 1, high and low states. So then we will see the what are the characteristics of the CMOS dynamic. What are the characteristics of the CMOS dynamic electrical behavior? So here the speed and the power consumption. The speed and the power consumption. The speed and the power consumption are the dynamic characteristics of the CMOS device. And the speed and power consumption, they not only depends on the dynamic electrical characteristics of the CMOS device, as they will also depend on its load also. So finally here, the speed and the power consumption, they will be analyzed or they will be determined with two things. One is the dynamic characteristics of the CMOS device, and the second one is the type of load which is connected to the CMOS output. CMOS output. Here, the dynamic characteristics of the CMOS device, it is also called as the AC characteristics here. So why they are AC characteristics? Why they are referring as a AC characteristics? Which means the output changes between the states here, between the states. So for example, if you take in steady state electrical behavior, you will have input and output like this. Either it may be at a 0 to 1 state, which means now maybe the output, the input at logic 1, the output at logic 0. These are called the steady state inputs or the static input. So it is changed from 0 to 1. So now the input at say 1 and the output at 0 for the CMOS inverter. If the input is 0, the output is at 1. So which means the input and output are fixed to the state in steady state. Now, how about in CMOS dynamic electrical behavior? As I said that the input and outputs are continuously changing. So when the input are continuously changing, corresponding to that input, the output of the CMOS inverter also changes between the states. See, example. You have a pulse of input. You have a pulses of input. Say the input is 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, and again you can also take it 0. So if you apply a pulses of a series of pulses to the CMOS inverter, now what about the output of the CMOS inverter? Now the output of the CMOS inverter has to be change its state between the two states here. The two states are 0 and 1. So for the corresponding input of 0, the output is 1, and for corresponding 1, the output is 0, and for 0 it is 1, for 1 it is 0. So it is quite opposite to of the input. So now how you can visualize the dynamic signals here. So here the static signals you can visualize it in this way here. That is a fixed state here. But how we can visualize the dynamic signal here? The dynamic signals are like this. Either it is transition of 0 to 1, 1 to 0. So now see, it is a transition 1. I'm sorry. It is the transition of 1, 0 to 1. It is not this 1, 0, 1. And similarly, you can have the another transition like this one. So this is 0, 1, 0. So which means in dynamic behavior, you will apply this kind of inputs here, and you will get this kind of the outputs here. If it is an input, the CMOS output will be this one. But whereas in this steady state, you will have the fixed state. So that you have to observe for between the steady state and the dynamic here. Steady state and the dynamic. So here now, what are the dynamic characteristics? The dynamic characteristics of the CMOS device are the speed and the power consumption. Speed and power consumption are the dynamic characteristics. So we will discuss the speed and power consumption. And here, the speed of the CMOS device, it depends on the two characteristics here. So now the speed of the CMOS device, it depends on the two characteristics. So they are the transition time and the propagation period. So the speed of the device, it depends on the two characteristics, transition time and the propagation delay. So now, what is a transition time here? What is a transition time? So the amount of time that the output of a logic circuit takes to change from one state to the another state is called the transition time. The amount of time that the output of a logic circuit takes to change from one state to the another state is called the transition time. Or it is the time required for the output of logic circuit to change from one state to the another state. Example, you can take this one. The time required to change from 1 to 0 and 0 to 1, or reverse one. The time required to change from 1 to 0 and 0 to 1. So these are called the dynamic signals. These are all called the dynamic signals here. So the transition time is the time required for the output of logic circuit to change from one state to the another state. And now, so how we can see the transition time? So we will observe the transition time at the output of the circuit here. Why? Because when you apply a continuous input at the logic gate will give us the output where the output is continuously switching between the states, or the output is continuously changing between the two states here, 0 and 1. So here you can see how the transmission time will look like under the three conditions. The first one is the ideal transmission time, and the second one is this one is the ideal, and the second one is the realistic, and third one is the actual transition time. So how the output signal will look when it is changing between the two states here. Now from this figure, from the figure A, if you observe, it is the ideal transition time. So where you can see there is a instantaneous change from 0 to 1 and from 1 to 0, which means the circuit is changing its state in 0 switching time. So almost the switching time is 0, so that it is instantaneously changing its state at the output from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. So ideal case is with respect to the 0 switching time. So we assume that the switching time is 0, and if you see the output in such case, it will look like here. It is look like. But practically, if you see, the real outputs cannot change instantaneously here. Practically, the real outputs cannot change instantaneously. The figure B shows how the realistic value of the transition time, how the transition time occurs. So in a realistic way here. In this, if you see here, the output is changing from 0 to 1 by taking a certain amount of time called the rise time, and it is taking some other time for changing from the state 1 to 0, and here again it is taking the time to change the state from 1 to 0. It is called the fall time. So in the realistic view, we have two time intervals, rise time and the fall time here. And if you see the third figure, the figure B and figure C are similarly, they looks like same. But if you see in figure C, at the beginning of the transition and at the ending of the transition. At the beginning of the transition and ending of the transition, you have a smooth transition time. Whereas here, here the figure B, it doesn't have the smooth transition time for the beginning and ending here. For the beginning and ending. So here the figure C, it shows the actual transition time, how it takes place at the output of the circuit. The figure A is the ideal one. So where the switching time is 0, the switching time is 0, so that they will instantaneously change the output from 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. But in figure B, the rate of change of output is not as accurate of the figure A here, because it has a certain time so to change from 0 to 1. And why the real outputs are not changing instantaneously? Why the real outputs are not changing instantaneously? It is because of the stray capacitance. It is because of the stray capacitance of the wires, connecting wires, and also the other devices which are driven by the CMOS output. So because of these two factors, the output cannot change instantaneously in the realistic view. But how to determine the transition time at the beginning and at the end of the transition times? So here, uh, uh, to determining these transition times, to determine these transmission times, so we are using the boundaries of the logic values here. We are using the boundaries of the logic values. So from the logic values and with the power supply rails, we can determine that uh, the input can be accepted as a logic 1 if the input value is above 3.5 volts or 3.5 volts. And for the logic 0, the voltages below the 1.5 volt, that is the 30% of the VDD as a logic 0 to accept as a logic 0, and the 70% of the VDD to accept as a logic 1. So these are the logic level values at the input. So here it is an output signal. When it is connected to the next stage of this logic gate, their output voltages must be fall between these two ranges. Otherwise, the next circuit, it will not accept the logic 0 and logic 1 value. Logic 1 value. So here to determine these transmission times, that is the rise time and the fall time. So we will measure the fall time and rise time by the boundary level, by the boundary logic values here. By measuring by measuring the boundary logic values here. So here for the logic 1, the boundary logic value is 3.5 volts, and for logic 0, the boundary logic value is 1.5. So now we can determine the rise time and the fall time of the transmission time. Transmission time. So what is a transmission time? It is the time required that the output of a logic circuit takes to change from one state to the another state. But there is a difference between an ideal transmission time and the actual transmission time. And it is because of there is a stray capacitance which is associated with the connecting wires and as well as with the devices that are driven by the CMOS logic output. So because of that, it takes the time to charge for that stray capacitance. So once if it is charged to that stray capacitance, then it will be changed its state from the 0 to 1, and similarly from 1 to 0. Similarly from 1 to 0. So So here the output is not changing instantaneously because the output takes certain time called the rise time and the fall time. So what is the rise time and what is the fall time here? It is the time taken by the output to change from the low to high state, and the fall time is the time taken by the output to change from the high to low state. So high to low state and low to high state. So these are the rise time and the fall time. And now here the rise time and fall time. So here the rise time and fall time of the CMOS output depends on two factors. One is on the transition resistance, I mean the transistor on resistance, and the second is load capacitance here. The on transistor resistance is depends on the type of the semiconductor material, whether the type of material is N-type semiconductor or the P-type semiconductor. And normally the on resistance of the N-type semiconductor is less than the P-type semiconductor. Okay, the on resistance is of the NMOS transistor is less than the PMOS. So that's why in the approximation of the values, the N resistance value we are taking 100 ohms and the P resistance value we are taking with the 200 ohms here. And the second one is, and the second factor is the load resistance here. So here the load resistance is nothing but the stray capacitance here. Stray capacitance. So the stray capacitance is called the load capacitance, or it is also called as the AC load here, or the capacitive load or the AC load here. AC load. So the capacitive load is realized by the stray capacitance. Stray capacitance. So here the stray capacitance is called the capacitive load or the AC load. And how we can model this capacitive load or the AC load here? How we can model this capacitive load or the AC load? So here this stray capacitance is present in the circuit due to the following three sources here. It is because of the three sources. So the first one is the output of the circuit, or simply you can say that output circuit. And the second one is the wiring connections between the output and the other inputs. And the next one is the inputs here. For example, you have I am representing with the block diagram. So here you have a CMOS of inverter first stage, and here you have a CMOS of the inverter second stage. So now how this stray capacitance is modeling here? So one is at the output of the circuit, and the other one is the input of the circuit, and the third one is the connecting wires between the input and the output, or the output and to the input of the next state here. So from these three sources, we can model the stray capacitance. We can model the stray capacitance. So see here for the output circuits. So for the output circuits, if you see the output transistors and the internal wiring of those transistors and the packing of the devices. So these will realize the output stray capacitance, which is in the order of the 2 to 10 picofarads. And similarly the input circuit. So when you have connected the output to the next stage input, now where the input transistors are coming into the picture, and similarly the input transistors will give you the stray capacitance, because here the transistor has three terminals: source, drain and gate. So between the terminals also there is a probability of having the stray capacitance. So that will be also taken into the consideration. So that is at the input stage and the internal wiring of these transistors. and its packaging. All together, it gives the stray capacitance at the input stage. So at the output stage and at the input stage, and in between the input and output, we will connect them with the wiring connections. So now the wiring connections also will be giving the stray capacitance, and which is in the order of the 1 picofarad. So most of the stray capacitance is modeling, or it is realizing at the output and input of the circuits. So simply, the stray capacitance is a AC load. So the overall, the rise time and fall time, it depends on the two. One is on transistor resistance, and the second one is capacitive load or AC load. Now let's see the equivalent circuit for this transition time. So the equivalent circuit for analyzing the transition time of a CMOS output. So here you can see the equivalent circuit. So the first part of the circuit is the equivalent circuit of the CMOS inverter. So in this, the P transistor is the pull-up network and the N transistor is the pull-down network. And these transistors are represented with the resistances RP and RL respectively. And the second part of the equivalent circuit, if you observe, where the second part, the equivalent load for the transition time analysis. So in this, we have three components here. We have three components. What are the three components? VL and RL. VL and RL are the two components. And the next third one is the CL. CL. So here the VL and RL, these are called the load resistance and load voltages, and the CL is the load capacitance. But we have two types of the loads here, the DC load and AC load. So here the VL and RL is the DC load of the equivalent circuit. It is the DC load of the equivalent circuit here. And the CL, as in the previous slide we discussed, the CL, capacitive load, is a AC load here. It is a AC load here. So now in the equivalent circuit, if you see, so we have the CMOS inverter circuit, and the load equivalent circuit, we have the three components, the VL and RL. The VL and RL are the DC load, and the CL is the AC load here. That is, the load capacitance is the AC load, and the load resistance and load voltages are the DC load. So now here the VL and RL, as I said that it is the DC load, and we can use this DC load for determining the voltages and currents of the CMOS output circuit when the outputs are at a fixed stage. When a fixed stage, if the output of the CMOS output is at a high state, so now at that fixed state, what are the currents and voltages? They will be realized. They will be determined using this DC load. And how to determine the current and voltages when in the dynamic state? Dynamic state means the output is switching between the states continuously. When the output is changing between the states, so every time the output has to charge for the stray capacitance, and again it has to discharge for the stray capacitance. So to determine the current and voltages, the CL will be used, the load capacitance will be used, and here the CL will give us the voltages and currents of the CMOS output when the output is switching between the states here. So that is the equivalent circuit of the transmission, the equivalent circuit for the transition time of the CMOS output. Now using this equivalent circuit, now we will determine the rise time and fall time of the CMOS output circuit. CMOS and CMOS output circuit. So let us consider consider the first state here. So example, see here, we have a transition time of this one, say. So in this, the transition is 0 to 1 and 1 to 0. So which means it has a change of state from the high to low state. And again, there is a change from the low to high state here. So now the high state, high to low transmission. So, okay, then 0, 1, 0 చెప్పాను కదా. Say 1, 0, 1, right. So here, high to low transmission, high to low transmission, and then low to high transmission. So here, observe these two diagrams here, figure A and figure B. So figure A shows the initial conditions here. So the initial conditions. So here we have considered the condition that is high to low. This one, it is the condition. So when the output is at high, what about the transistor states here? At high state, the PMOS transistor is on and the NMOS transistor is off. So that's why you can observe the resistance values here. At the high state, the P transistor offering the P transistor resistance is 200 ohms and the NMOS transistor is 1 mega ohm. But when it is changing from the high to low, at the low state, the PMOS transistor is off and the NMOS transistor is on. So that's why here we have taken the two circuit diagrams. In the figure A, it is with respect to the high state of the voltage output, and the figure B is from the high state to the low state. So that is the output is at low state here. So the figure A is the high state at high state, and for the figure B, the transition is from high to low state. When it is in the high to low state, the PMOS transistor is off and the NMOS transistor is on now. So now to calculating this high to low transmission. So actually the transmission is this one, this one. This is the transition, high to low transition, isn't it? So now, ideally, you can expect this kind of response, but practically it won't happen because of the stray capacitance. So therefore, they will be discharged or they will be changed in a exponential growth rate. In a exponential growth rate. So here we will try to find the fall time here. So why it is fall time? Because the transition takes place from the high state to the low state. The transition takes place from the high state to the low states. So that's why it is referring with the fall time here. So now we wanted to calculate the fall time for the given circuit here. So for our simplicity, here we have assuming some conditions here. Here we are assuming some conditions that the Rn resistance is 100 ohms and Rp is the 200 ohms. So how they will be modeled, 100 ohms and 200 ohms, we are familiar with that. And take the load capacitance is 100 picofarads. It is a just take the value of the capacitive load as a 100 picofarads. And now here the RL is assumed at infinity. Assume the load resistance is infinity. Assume the load resistance is infinity. When you have a infinity of resistance, what about the load voltage? It is obviously 0. When you have infinity of resistance, so that will gives us the load voltage as 0. So with considering these conditions, we will try to find out the voltage across the transistor. So we will try to find the voltage across the transistor. At these points, if you write the voltage expression, So that will be like this here. See, the output voltage V naught is equal to VDD into e power minus t by Rn into CL. How it is Rn into CL here? Go back to the slide. See here, initially it is at the high state, but we are trying to calculate the fall time. So what is a fall time? The time required for the output to change from the high to low state. So when it is changing from high to low state, the output is now at the logic low. When the output is at the logic low, what about the resistance of the MOS transistors? The NMOS transistor will be on and the PMOS transistor will be off. So therefore, now the current will be discharging or the voltage will be to the zero potential here. So the voltage, the current will be discharging through the NMOS transistor. So that's why here we have taken the Rn value. So now by simplifying this equation, so you will get the 5 volts of the VDD. VDD is the 5 volts and the time period. So at 2 we have we didn't determine at 2 we haven't determined the time here. So with the available values, if you see here, the VDD is known value here. So that is the 5 volts and resistance Rn value is the 100. And what about the load capacitance? 100 picofarads. So now this term Rn and CL value is the 10 into 10 power of minus 9. So now the term Rn and CL, it is nothing but tau. It is the time constant here. It is the time constant to discharging the stray capacitance because it is the case of falling time from high state to the low state. From the high state to the low state. So here the time constant is depending on the two values. One is the on resistance of the transistor NMOS and the load capacitance. The same point we have discussed in our previous slides. The rise time and fall times are depends on two factors. One is on transistor resistance and second is the capacitor load. So now here the on resistance of the transistor is 100 and the capacitor load that we have considered is 100 pico. So finally the time constant for is 10 into 10 power of minus 9. So this is the time for discharging the stray capacitance here. But our concern is not the discharging of the complete stray capacitance. We wanted to calculate. So we here the fall time can be determined by the logic values. I mean the boundary of the logic values here. So now what are the boundary of the logic values? To be recognized as a high state, the voltage must be at 3.5. The voltages above and 3.5 are the logic 1. The voltages below and the 0.5 volts are the logic 0. So finally the fall time, it gives us the low state of the output. So now we will not take the entire discharging of the transition. We will take the transition time of the 3.5 volt and the 1.5 volt. We will calculate the transition time. I mean that the fall time. Don't we get any confusion here? The transition time may be of rise time or the fall time. Here, as per us concerned, it is a fall time. So the transmission time is nothing but the fall time. So we will calculate the fall time at two voltages here, 3.5 volts and 1.5 volts. Because in between these two, it is a undefined state. So that's why here we will calculate the fall time at V equal to 3.5 volts and the V out is at 1.5 volts. So now let's see the for V out equal to 3.5. So in this condition, how you are getting this equation? By just rearranging the equation. You just rearranging this equation. So here the V out is the 3.5 volts and it is the 5 volts. And you know the value of this one. So what are the values of this one? So the Rn is 100 and the CL, Rn is 100 and CL is 100 picofarads. So by rearranging this equation to get this key value, so the equation will be like this. So see the time period at 3.5. By rearranging this, you are getting an logarithmic value minus RLCL logarithm of the 3.5 by 5. By solving this, you will get the fall time at the voltage of the 3.5 volts. That is 3.5 seconds, 3.5 nanoseconds. Similarly, calculate the fall time at 1.5 volts. So 1.5 volts shows the low voltage, low state. 3.5 shows the high state here. So the same, by using the same equation, and we will calculate for 1.5 volt. So now by rearranging that equation, and if you solve that equation, now you have the fall time at 1.5 volt is 12 nanoseconds. Now what is the fall time? So the actual fall time is the difference between the fall time at the 3.5 volts and the fall time at the 1.5 volts. So now the difference between these two. So the difference between these two here. So this is the 3.5 and this is the 1.5. So the difference between these two, it will give us the fall time. So now for the given values, the fall time is 8.47 nanoseconds. So that is high to low transmission in the transmission time. Now the second part of the transmission is low to high. So far we have seen the fall time from high to low. Now the second one is the low to high. Low to high. When the output is changing from the low to high, it is called as the rise time. It is called as the rise time here. So now we will see the rise time. So what is rise time? The time required by the output of the circuit to change from the low to high state. To change from the low to high state here. So now see here, the transmission is from low to high. So low to high, it is from the okay. So that okay. Sorry. So here we have the same diagram is copied here for low to high transmission. For low to high transmission, we have the same. So just I will show you just a minute. So here if you take the, just a minute, right. Now see this one. This diagram. So see this one diagram here. So it is the model of the CMOS low to high transmission.
Screen, sir.
Oh, screen share cheyalegu okka nimisham. So see this one here. Amma ippudu kanapadutunda?
Yes, sir.
So now take the second condition. So here the second condition is low to high transmission. Low to high transmission. So when the transmission is from low to high, so see the first figure. So in this case, the output is initially at the low and it is trying to go for the high state. So at the low state, so the transistors resistances are, the PMOS transistor is off and NMOS transistor is on. But when the output is changing from the low to high, the PMOS will be on and the NMOS transistor will be off here. So when the PMOS transistor is on, now the stray capacitance is charging through the on resistance of the PMOS and through the load, through the load capacitance CL. So see this diagram. Okay. Now we will go back to the, so now we will go back to the this one. Sorry. Just a minute. Just a minute. మా PPT వచ్చిందా ఇప్పుడు?
Yes.
Yeah. So here the diagram is wrong here because the same diagram is copied here. So that's why I
Sir,
have.
ఇది green color లో.
అమ్మా
ఇప్పుడు వచ్చింది సార్.
ఓకే ఒక్క సెకండ్. ఇప్పుడు వస్తుందా?
Yes, sir.
సో ఇక్కడ కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఏం లేదు. ఇక్కడ నేను సేమ్ డయాగ్రామ్ కాపీ చేయడం వల్ల మీకు సేమ్ సర్క్యూట్ కనబడుతుంది. అందుకే నేను మీకు PDF లో మళ్ళీ ఓపెన్ చేసి చూపించాను అక్కడ. సో నౌ వి విల్ మూవ్ ఆన్ టు ది క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ పార్ట్ హియర్. సో నౌ సీ హియర్, here it is. So now here it is the calculation for the rise time here. So rise time is nothing but it refers the change of state from the low to high transition. So we will consider the same configuration. I mean the same values we will take into consideration. So the RL is infinity. Since the RL is the infinity, so the VL is 0, because for 0 resistance there will not be any voltage drop across the load. And take the capacitive load is 100 picofarads and take the RP and RN as 200 and 100 ohm resistances. So now if you are trying to calculate the output voltage, so you will get this logic, you will get this equation here. The V out is VDD minus 1 minus e power minus t by RPCL. So in the previous one is an exponential thing, and here you can take this is a non-exponential, or if it is an exponential then you can take it that as a non-exponential value. So here it is increasing in exponential way, so from 0 to low state to the high state. So in this the output equation is V naught equal to VDD into 1 minus e power minus t by RP by CL. So now you can make the observation that in the fall time the on resistance of the N channel will come, and now in the rise time the on resistance of the P channel will be come. Okay, so P channel will be coming here. So now this is the output equation for to calculate the low to high transmission at the output of the circuit. But our intention is to find the rise time between the undefined states here. See, the 1.5 is a valid state, 3.5 is a valid state. It is the valid state for the logic 1 and it is the valid state for the logic 0. But in between this, it is the undefined state, abnormal operation. It is undefined state. So again here also we will calculate the time response at the two different voltages, 1.5 volts and 3.5 volts. And once if you have the time response at that voltages, the difference between these two time will give us the rise time from low to high state here. So now see this one. Again here also we will take the two conditions, V out at 3.5, V out at 1.5. So by rearranging this above equation, so you will get this one, and by simplifying this you will get the 24 nanoseconds at 3.5 volts. for 3.5 volts of output, the time response is 24 nanoseconds. And similarly for the 1.5 volt. So for 1.5 volt, the time response is 7.13 nanoseconds. 7.13 nanoseconds. So now what is the actual transition time? It is the difference between the 3.5 minus 1.5. So now see, the rise time is, the TR is the difference between the 3.5 response minus 1.5 time. So now it is 16.95 nanoseconds. 16.95 nanoseconds. So now what are the the rise time and fall times for this given circuit? The rise time is the 16.5 nanoseconds. 1 second, 1 second. And here the fall time is the 8.47 nanoseconds. 8.47 nanoseconds. So now 8.47 nanoseconds. So now compare the and if you observe the rise time and the fall time here, this is the fall time. Fall time, the rise time is double of the fall time, or the fall time vice versa. Fall time is half of the rise time. So why the rise time of the circuit is double of the fall time here? Can anyone answer for this? Any observations that you made? Any observations that you made? Why the rise time is double of the fall time here? ఒక్కటే పాయింట్ మీరు గుర్తు తెచ్చుకోండి. రైస్ టైమ్ అండ్ ఫాల్ టైం దేని మీద డిపెండ్ అవుతుందని చెప్పాము? ఒకటి ఆన్ రెసిస్టెన్స్, రెండోది కెపాసిటివ్ రెసిస్టెన్స్. మనం తీసుకున్న క్యాలిక్యులేషన్స్ లో కెపాసిటివ్ లోడ్ కామన్ గా ఉంది కదా మొత్తం రెండిట్లకి. ఏం మారింది ఇక్కడ? ఆర్ఎన్ అండ్ ఆర్పి వాల్యూస్ మారినాయి కదా. సో డిడ్ యు నోటీస్ దట్? సో ది ఆర్ఎన్ వాల్యూ is 100 ohm, ఆర్పి వాల్యూ is 200 ohms. So you can observe that the on resistance of the p channel transistor is double of the n channel. When the p channel transistor has a double of the n channel transistor, what about the tau? The tau is directly proportional to the time constant, is directly proportional to the values of the R and C. The C is the fixed value, R is the variable here. The more resistance you have or the higher resistance you have, it takes the more time to charging the capacitance. So that's why here the rise time, during this rise time, the RP value is modeling. See here, the RP value is modeling here. And during the fall time, we are modeling with the Rn resistances. So that's why the rise time is double of the fall time. So did you understand this point? So these observations, did you understand? So be respond.
Yes, sir.
So now the another question is, so how we can make the rise time and the fall time are equal? So how we can make the rise time and fall time are equal? ఇక్కడ రెండు డిఫరెంట్ వాల్యూస్ వచ్చాయి, ఒకటి 16 వచ్చింది, ఒకటి 8 వచ్చింది. Now I wanted to have the same time for rise time and as well as the fall time. So how I can get that value here? The remedy for that is you need to take larger PMOS than the NMOS. In the point of area, you have to take the larger PMOS transistor than the NMOS transistor. If you take so, then you will have the equal timings for rise time and for the fall time. So if these two are not equal, then it shows the effect on the speed of the device here. That is very important. If you want to design high speed CMOS devices, the rise time and fall time must be equal. But it is not, you cannot have all the time the rise time and the fall times are with the equal values. So that the designers will have a designing measures that the P mass will be larger than the N mass. So that is about the rise time. And the last point regarding the transmission time. So in this analysis, or in this one, it is assumed that the P channel transistor has to has the twice resistance of the N channel transistor. It is the double of the N channel transistor. As a result of, the rise time is twice as long as the fall time here. And the very another important point, the manufacturers of the CMOS device do not specify transistors on resistance here. They do not specify the on resistance. All the time they will give only the currents and voltages in the data sheet. They will specify only the voltages and current ratings. But how we can determine the on resistance of the transistor? You can determine the on resistance of the transistor using these equations. We have seen these two equations at CMOS behavior with the resistive load. The behavior with the resistive load, at we have seen these two on resistance of the transistors. Same equations are used to determine the transmission time also. I mean that in direct or indirectly it refers to the voltages and currents, the resistance. So the currents and voltages will have the effect on the transmission time. So finally, so here it is the about the transmission time. So did you understand the transmission time?
Sir.
Okay. So with 5 minutes, I will conclude for today's session. So the next parameter is very important, propagation delay. As we discussed this propagation delay at the time of the introduction to the digital logic families. So here the propagation delay is simply defined as the average delay time for the signal to propagate from the input to the output, or the propagation delay is the amount of time that it takes for change in the input to produce a change in the output signal, to produce a change in the output signal here. So that is the time between the logic transition on an input and the corresponding logic transition on the output of the gate here. And here the propagation delay is determined by using the two interval times. The two interval times are the TPHL and TPLH. So here the TPLH, the propagation from low to high state, the time required to propagate from the low to high state or from the high to low state. So these are the two intervals. And here what is the TPHL? It is the delay time measured when the output is changing from the logic 0 to logic 1, that is the low to high state. And the TPHL is the delay between when the output is changing from the logic 0 to logic 1, that is high to low state here. And it is always advantageous that the lower the propagation is, the higher the speed of the circuit. The lower the propagation delay is, the higher the propagation is the higher the speed of the circuit here. So now to understand this propagation delay, let us see this diagram here. So in this you can observe the input waveform and also the output waveform. See the time required to change the response at the output. The input, you see in the diagram, at the input the low state is changed to the high state at this point, but at the output so here it is not changing instantaneously to the low state here, because in the CMOS inverter you have, when you have a zero input, you will have the zero output. For one input you will have the zero output here. But here the output is not changing instantaneously here. Okay, so here the time required, to have to change the signal at the output here, from the low state to the high state and from the high state to the low state. So these two are determined as the TPHL and the TPLH. Okay, so in the second diagram you can see the practical version or the actual version of the propagation delay. Ideally the switching time is 0 is considered, but practically it takes some amount of time. What are the times here? The rise time and the fall time here, right? The rise time and fall time. So if you know the rise time and fall time, then also we can calculate the TPHL and TPLH also. But here it is calculated, but here it is calculated as, the 50% of the input and output values. See, exactly at the half of the input response and exactly at the half of the input response. So the difference between these two, it gives us the TPHL in the case of the high to low transition, and at the output side, at the 50% of the change in input to the 50% of the change in output, that gives the PLH. That is the propagation time to low to high state here. And you can also better understand by looking at the inverted and non-inverted gates also. See, the first one is the inverted gate. So in an inverted gate, always the output is complementary value. If you apply the 0, it will give you the 1 here. So now see, in the input there is a change from low to high state, and at the output also correspondingly there will be a change at the output, but instantaneously it is not taking place. So now how to calculate this one? So for that, exactly the 50% of the input response to the 50% of the output response. So that gives us the propagation delay to change from high to low state. And similarly at the output and in the input also, see in the next pulse it is changing from the high to low. So now at the for that corresponding to this, again there will be a change at the output. And now if it is the case, so now the transmission, it is from the low to high and the output is low to high, high to low at the input, low to high at the output. So now here also it is the 50% of the input response to the output response, 50%. And take the non-inverting gate, take the non-inverting input or non-inverting gates like a OR gate and AND gate and buffer. In this also you can observe the TPHL and TPLH or how they are. So then how to determine and finally how to take the propagation delay of the circuit. So here the propagation delays are measured between the 50% points on the input and output transition. So just we have seen in the previous slide. So 50%, but all the time the TPHL and TPLH, that is the propagation of the low to high and propagation of high to low, they are not equal. They are not equal all the time. So if it is the case, then whichever is having the higher propagation delay, that will be the maximum. The maximum between the two, whichever is having the highest propagation delay, that will be taken as the propagation delay to that gate. That is one condition. Or sometimes the propagation delay is we can take the average of the TPLH and TPHL. So simply in a generalized statement, we can observe what is a propagation delay. The propagation delay is the average delay time. The average delay time for the signal to propagate from input to output. So if you know these two timing values, then you can take the average to determine the propagation delay. So finally, concluding for today's session. So in this today's session, we started the CMOS dynamic behavior. What are the CMOS dynamic behaviors? The speed and the power consumption or the CMOS dynamic behavior. In this class, we have completed the speed of the CMOS device. The speed, it depends on the two characteristics, transition time and the propagation delay. And the transition times are two. There are two transition times, rise time and the fall time, and the propagation delay. And here also we have the two timing factors. One is the propagation from the low to high, and other is the propagation from the high to low. The average of this can give us the propagation delay of the device, or between the two propagation delay, which has the higher value, so that can be as the propagation delay to that gate here. So this is for the today's session. So hope you understand. So did you understand the transition time and propagation delay? I know today I have taken more time. So almost 1 hour 15 minutes. So did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.